Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to episode 9 of the Free State Sports Podcast. We are available on Spotify and YouTube. You can also follow us on Instagram at Free State Sports. We'll put all that in the description. We thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you to everybody who has been participating in the polls, subscribing on YouTube, and following us on Instagram. We're very, very excited to have you along with us. We're going to get into a whole bunch of fun stuff in this episode. This is sort of going to be an NFL special. We got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. We do apologize for the last podcast. We had a little bit of technical difficulties with our microphone. We believe that's all sorted out, but if there are any issues, please just bear with us. Obviously, we're always working on upgrading our equipment and stuff, so check us out wherever you find your podcasts, and we're going to get right into it. Andrew, football is back.
Woo!
How are you feeling?
Great. The Ravens Chiefs are only, 4 days away? 4 days away now.
I can't wait for that game.
Thursday night, and we're going to get into that later.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about in this episode with the kickoff of the 2024 NFL season. Saquon is not joining us for this one. Can you guess what he had? Other obligations. Shout out to Saquon. He's not here for this one, but we're always thinking of him. We do have some sad news to start off the episode. Unfortunately, the offensive line coach for our Baltimore Ravens, Joe D, has passed away at age 70 after battling an undisclosed illness. Obviously, that's a big loss for the team. I remember seeing him on the Wired episodes that they would put out on YouTube a few times. Seemed like a great guy to be around and a heck of a coach. So our thoughts and prayers are obviously with the team and with his family as well. Moving on over, speaking of bad luck, I want to talk a little bit about the Vikings, Andrew. Have you seen what's been going on over there?
What hasn't been going on over there?
A lot of bad luck over there. They just recently announced that their promising rookie quarterback is out for the season after undergoing a season-ending surgery for a torn meniscus. And that came after he threw 11 of 17 for 188 yards and 2 touchdowns, which started to spark some hope for Vikings fans over there, and started to kind of shut my mouth a little bit as well because I was pretty critical of him coming in from the draft. But this happens amidst losing their cornerback, Kyrie Jackson, in a fatal car accident just a couple months ago, I believe. We talked about that on an episode. They also lost their starting receiver, Jordan Addison, for a number of weeks due to an ankle sprain, and he's now likely to miss week 1, and that was after he was also arrested on suspicion of a DUI. So
I didn't think Addison was the starting receiver over there.
They had him listed as one of them. So I don't know who else is over there. I didn't look too much at the depth chart, but
Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, he's the number 1 guy.
Yeah.
I think Jordan Addison might be number 3. I'm not sure. I didn't look.
Probably a starting slot.
But he had some issues, and then also, on top of that, their cornerback, Mekhi Blackman, also went down with a torn ACL on the very first day of training camp. And it's also notable that their cornerback, Shaq Griffin, who's another starting corner, went down with a hamstring injury, but he did recently return to practice. But all of that happened in the span of just 5 weeks. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that, Andrew.
It really does remind me of a couple of years back when the Ravens lost all of their starting running backs before the season even started.
Yeah.
It's rough for the Minnesota faithful, and I will say faithful. Minnesota is one of the best fan bases out there, in my opinion. Up there with the Bills.
Yep. Yeah, good organization, good fan base. So, wish them the best. That's a lot of stuff to overcome, but it does set them up for a pretty cool underdog story. So
really cool, and I'm not going to count them out yet. I think, and this is very unlikely. Like, don't quote me on saying like this is guaranteed to happen, but this is a chance for Sam Darnold to revitalize his career, to put everyone on notice. He's got an elite receiver. I mean, Justin Jefferson's no pushover. He's a top 3 receiver in the league.
Easily.
So could Sam Darnold kind of start shifting the tides and be a starter somewhere else, like in Carolina or even Seattle next year? Maybe. I would love to see that. There's definitely a couple quarterbacks that are up for contention and on the hot seat, and I think it's around the realm of the Panthers quarterback who is now going into his 3rd season, Bryce Young. Geno Smith with the Seahawks and probably Daniel Jones with the Giants are the ones on the hot seat right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that's fair.
yeah, Sam Darnold could be that Ryan Fitzpatrick or Ryan Tannehill. Well, he might have to change his name to Ryan to start with. He could be the next Geno Smith in Seattle.
Yeah.
Jury's not out on him, but this could be his opportunity to just restart his career.
It definitely is, and we've seen that happen with a number of guys, and we saw the type of luck that Nick Foles had in Philadelphia as well, so that'll be interesting to follow for sure. Moving on over to Washington, rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels was recently named their starter. That comes amidst a pretty solid preseason for the rookie. He played in 2 games at the time of recording this episode, and he was sitting at an 80% completion rate this preseason. Now, obviously, we know preseason is preseason. They're playing backups and all that good stuff. Still looking good as a rookie, looking promising. With Washington's history of moving on from quarterbacks way too quickly, in my opinion, some of the questionable moves they continue to make over there. Andrew, I got to ask you, do you think there's any chance that Jayden Daniels, as early as it is, could potentially lead this team out of mediocrity?
I don't know if they have the roster to back that up right now. They really nuked their defense last year by getting rid of Chase Young, among others.
And Montez Sweat the year before that, I think.
And I think that was in the same year.
Was it?
Yeah.
Even better.
So, I think then announcing Jayden Daniels as a starter was kind of mute. I mean, that quarterback room consisted of Marcus Mariota, Jeff Driscoll, and Sam Hartman. Never even heard of Sam Hartman. And that's not to discount him as a player. It's just, I'm not a Commanders fan. I respect the Commanders, kind of. I'd respect them even more if they changed their name.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Jayden Daniels will be the future. Again, it is the preseason. So I'm going to leave it at this. They're in a very tough division with 2 NFC powerhouses, Cowboys and the Eagles. Cowboys might not be Super Bowl contenders, but they are definitely regular season contenders.
Yeah.
Year in, year out. And then you got the Giants, who kind of suck. The Eagles are always going to be a Super Bowl contender until they are proven not to be. So, no, I don't think Jayden Daniels will turn the team around this year. Maybe next year. Maybe in the future. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I would agree. They definitely got to make some moves and build around him if they want to do something with him. It seems like they just give up on players way too easy over there. We saw Sam Howell sort of show some potential. I was kind of excited to see him play over there, and then, boom, he's over in Seattle. The amount of times we've seen quarterbacks come in and out of that out of that organization, players too, like the defensive ones we named, just very questionable decisions that they make over there and in that office in Washington. Jayden Daniels I talked about this when we covered his draft profile, stylistically, not so much athletically, but in terms of style, kind of reminds me of the way Lamar plays. So I'm excited to see what he can do. He looked pretty good this preseason. Looks like he could easily make this team a contender if they continue to build around him. I don't know if they'll do too much this year, like you said, but I would like to see him get a fair shot, and hopefully they don't just move on from him like they do everybody else.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk a little bit about some teams to watch this season. We're going to cover some of the most interesting teams for anybody out there that is into sports betting and things of that nature. I'll tell you some breakdowns of some interesting teams to follow for a number of reasons that we'll get into. I'm going to start with my number 1 team to watch this season. That is the Atlanta Falcons. They've recently acquired safety Justin Simmons. They traded a future third-round pick to the Patriots for Matthew Judon, who was in Baltimore for a number of years. We know him pretty well. Mm-hmm. They gave cornerback A.J. Terrell a 4-year, $81 million extension. I think just this past week that happened. With Justin Simmons joining him and Jesse Bates over there in the secondary, I think that defense could shape up to potentially be a top 5 in the league. And I think you pair that with Kirk Cousins at quarterback, and they've got a lot of unproven talent in Drake London and Kyle Pitts. I think they could easily take that division. I think they were my pick to win the NFC South, so
Yeah.
they are my number one team to watch this year.
Yeah, I actually had the Falcons as my number team as well, and it's pretty much the same, except the key point I wanted to make here is they have competent quarterback play. Kirk Cousins might not be a top 5 quarterback. He might not be a top 10 quarterback in the league, but he has proven time and time and again that he can make a difference and take his team to the playoffs. Now they don't have to worry about a passing attack and a rushing attack because they have a solid rushing attack with Bijan Robinson, and now they're going to have a solid passing attack with Kirk Cousins. Prior to it, I didn't expect Desmond Ridder, who I believe was the starting quarterback last year, was it?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think Desmond Ridder was capable of manning the offense where you can pass it on 1st and 10, you can run it on 1st and 10, you can pass it on 3rd and 1, run it on 3rd and 1. Like, Kirk Cousins is that guy. He can make a difference on and off the field. He's a pretty good leader. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah,
but I definitely did have the Falcons. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the most consistent quarterbacks in the league. Like you said, maybe not a top 5 or top 10, but definitely one of the most consistent.
And I don't know if you included Arnold Ebiketie.
I did not.
No, but he's a pretty standout pass rushing talent they have. Pretty decent in the coverage, too.
Nice.
So I am really looking forward to the Falcons, both on offense and defense. And really, realistically, they might make a deep playoff push here.
Yeah, that's very possible. I would expect them to make the playoffs. It would not surprise me. Little tidbits, some behind-the-scenes stuff, speaking about the Falcons. I actually recently was invited to the Ravens preseason game against the Falcons. Got to step on the field. My mother actually won some field passes and a suite pass through her job. Really cool to enjoy the suite there at M&T Bank Stadium. We got to step on the field. Saw Kyle Hamilton, Zay Flowers, all those guys warming up right in front of us. That was a really cool experience. So we did get to see the Falcons play in person. Preseason, there's not a whole lot to go off of for them, but they definitely, their second and third team looked pretty solid as well. The Ravens did win that game by just 1 point because the Falcons did not get the 2-point conversion they went for. But nonetheless, that was a fun experience for us. But my number 2 team to watch this year is a team that I actually picked as my early pick for the Super Bowl. Did not pick them to win it, but I picked them to go. That was the Philadelphia Eagles. I picked them for a number of reasons. They have a capable offense despite Jalen Hurts' turnover struggles this past year. They lost a huge name in Jason Kelce, I think, which you actually brought to my attention when I picked them as a Super Bowl contender. I think that's a huge loss for them, but I think they have the right leadership to bounce back. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith is a very explosive wide receiver duo, and I think they could easily have a top secondary with Darius Slay and my personal favorite 2024 draft pick in cornerback Quinyon Mitchell. So that's my number 2 team to watch.
Yeah, I didn't really have the Eagles because I kind of have the Eagles as a kind of a pretender slot right now. I don't think they're as good as a lot of people are making them out to be, and we really saw them collapse last year. I think losing 7 out of the last 6 games.
Yeah.
It's really hard to come off of that. I still have them winning the NFC East, but I also think the Cowboys are going to have a choke job as well. I don't know. It's hard for me to put the respect on the Eagles when they didn't prove that they belonged in the playoffs last year at all.
Yep. Yeah, that's fair. Who was did you have a number 2 team to watch?
I did. I had the Green Bay Packers, my pick, to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. They ended up winning a playoff game last year, come close to winning a second one. And now their biggest competition kind of just got injured.
Yeah.
So Jordan Love, it's going to come down to the Bears, Lions, and the Packers for that division.
Yeah.
Which are all, we've already discussed that we think maybe Jared Goff is going to have an off season this year. I think he will. In terms of the Bears, they have a long way to come back into it. The Packers were in the playoffs. They won a game. And they have such a stellar team with Xavier McKinney. and Rashawn Gary, Javier Alexander. It's just such a stellar defense, not to mention Christian Watson and now Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
And I think Jordan Love might earn his contract this year.
Yeah, that's definitely fair to say. I could definitely see them being one as well. My number 3, which is one that probably wouldn't surprise a whole lot of people, but I'm definitely excited to see how they play this year. That's the Houston Texans. C.J. Stroud could be set up for a huge year after his playoff debut last year.
That's my MVP pick right there.
They lost to the Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs, but they did add they added Stephon Diggs to his wide receiver room. This offense has the potential to put up big numbers, and I think they could easily make another run for the playoffs under the leadership of the former Rookie of the Year, C.J. Stroud. So I'm expecting big things for them.
Yeah. No, I mean, absolutely. C.J. Stroud really broke out as that best quarterback in that draft class. And we're going to get more into that later, actually, because week 1 we're actually seeing 2 quarterbacks from that draft class clash in a divisional matchup, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So I do respect the Houston Texans, and I want to see how they perform this year.
Yeah, that's fair. Did you have any more teams to watch before I give you my last one?
My last one was the Chicago Bears.
Hey, me too.
I really was interested in Caleb Williams and following his career as the number 1 pick in the draft, as you should. I think he performed really well in the preseason. I think we're going to cover that more later, but what did you have on him?
Yeah, Caleb looks as advertised. I touched on this a little bit when we covered his draft profile, but he kind of reminds me of a prime Russell Wilson. I think that's been shown in his ability to play with his legs this preseason. I think he did have a pretty impressive rushing touchdown where he escaped a few sacks and ran in for a touchdown last week. I think the pairing of him and rookie wide receiver Rome Odunze alongside proven talent like DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, I think could easily be one of the most dangerous offenses, at least on paper. I think if that continues to translate and they can manage to play solid defense, I think they have a real shot to go on a run and surprise a lot of people. So as bold as it is, they do remain my pick to win the NFC North. I think they'll just barely end up upsetting the Lions and the Packers.
Yeah, I think that is important to mention. Rome Odunze was amazing. He had that kind of that over-the-shoulder fade he caught on a broken play by the broken play pass by rookie sensation Caleb Williams.
Yeah, it's good that they already have that type of chemistry. That's huge to have 2 high-caliber players that are on the same page that early. So
absolutely.
I think that'll be fun to watch. But speaking of Caleb Williams, we're going to move over into some individual performance breakdown. Let's talk a little bit about Caleb. Obviously, we just touched on him a little bit. He's been handling a lot of the early rumors and the criticism that he got pretty well. And he hasn't had necessarily an incredible preseason from a statistics standpoint, but he has looked solid, and I think there's a lot to build on for him moving forward. Like we touched on, he's making plays, throwing the ball, and with his legs. One thing that really stood out to me was how fast he was able to get the ball out when he was in the pocket. That's huge because NFL pass rushing in today's league comes at you very fast. So I also love his ability to throw on the run. You talked about the broken plays. I think that's where he's going to excel. I think we're going to see a lot of success from him once he starts to get that experience under his belt.
So I think he had a dominant Week 1 performance. He didn't play long, I don't think, at least. But he looked very comfortable in the pocket. And I did enjoy watching the Bears allowing him to not only have plays in the pocket, but plays outside the pocket.
Yeah.
That was a big problem. They forced Justin Fields to stay in the pocket where he's not comfortable.
Right.
They got Caleb Williams in space, and we saw the damage he could do once he gets into space. You know, he's a threat to run. He's a threat to throw on the run. He's a threat to stop and deliver a dime. Game 2, there was some struggles. I think he was holding on to the ball far too long, creating some pretty near broken, really bad plays. And it worked out. He had to have that incredible escape sack where he kind of took it 10 yards back around the edge and up for a touchdown. There was absolutely nobody open on this play whatsoever. I watched it time and time, slow motion, different camera angles. There was not a single receiver he could find.
Yeah.
But then the play prior to that, he held onto the ball in the pocket, scrambled outside the pocket, and he missed a wide open guy right in the middle of the end zone.
Yeah.
So I think he does have an issue with trying to play what we would call a hero ball. Holding onto the ball, trying to create a play when there just isn't a play there.
Right.
But he was able to make it work on the last play that he scored a touchdown, the last play of his preseason game as well. But they really kind of forced the issue. They left him in the game for a while. There was a lot of traded punts, a lot of 3-and-outs. I think he only... him being on the field until the end of... I think it was like the very end of the half, like a minute 30-something left, was when they finally took him off the field. They only put up 10 points. So there's obviously room to improve for Caleb Williams. I think if they continue to allow him to move outside the pocket, if they continue to draw up plays like they draw up for Lamar Jackson, as I compared Caleb Williams pretty closely to Lamar Jackson in our first episode, it definitely shows he's not as fast, but he's as explosive.
Right.
And when he sees that gap, and we saw this in Game 1 and Game 2, he hits that gap. And 9 times out of 10, that was the right call for Caleb. So I love the decision making. That's all I can really say. He's doing fine. And I think this is something to build on. This might not be the best year for the Bears, but they're definitely going to have a future if they treat Caleb right. And the best part, did you see when he picked up about 11, 12, 13 yards and slid?
I did not, actually.
No, he picked up a good chunk of yards and slid. That is big. You see a lot of these unproven talents put their bodies on the line.
You see a lot of guys that have been around even make those wrong decisions.
Put their bodies on the line and get rocked. And he avoided them hits, and that's all you really want to look for in your starting quarterback, especially in the preseason.
Yeah, that's huge. Good decision making. Love to see that for Caleb Williams. So it'll be fun to follow him in the Bears this year. Talk a little bit about Bo Nix over in Denver. I think he's surprised a little bit, quite a few people, and that includes me because I talked a lot of trash about him. Talked a lot of trash about the Broncos, and I'm going to stand by what I said about the Broncos. But nonetheless, he did have a pretty good performance. What was it, last week? Right before he got announced as the starter over there. He had a pretty solid performance. Here's something interesting about Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos that we talked a little bit about off podcast. To give you an idea of the Broncos and what they're doing over there, Bo Nix is actually the 8th Week 1 starting quarterback for Denver since Peyton Manning in 2015. He's also the 14th starting quarterback overall in that time. That's according to CBS. So Denver has struggled to find a capable quarterback, and it's looking like Bo Nix could potentially step into that role. Again, it is very early. He's playing against backups, so there's a lot left to be discovered. But so far, he is definitely surprising me. He's playing a lot better than I expected him to. And I think there's something to be said about that, especially when you're looking at a team like the Broncos, who have really struggled to find the next guy at that position.
No, that is absolutely fair. And yeah, that is a very tough stat to look at. How many different starters you have since Peyton Manning left, how many careers ended, and, not really ended, but how many careers got affected, how many talents they probably wasted, first-round picks they spent. It's rough. It is rough. I'm not sold on Bo Nix. I'm not sold on Bo Nix at all.
That's fair.
And I watched the tape. I didn't just look at stats. I watched the games live. He has an issue. He doesn't throw down the field. When he throws down the field, it's usually an incompletion. I think I saw 3 or 4 passes down the field beyond... And I don't mean like down the field as a 20-plus yards. I'm talking about 10 to 15 yards.
Right.
He doesn't throw there. It's before the line of scrimmage. It's a 5-yard dunk down, and that's fine. That's how the plays are drawn up. But when he does throw down the field, it's an incompletion or it's nearly intercepted. He hasn't been sacked or intercepted yet. The sack stat is amazing. He hasn't been sacked. That is great. They're drawing up plays where he gets the ball out of his hands quickly.
Right.
That was one of Russell Wilson's biggest problems. For everything good Russell does, he also led the league in sacks. Not, taking sacks. Not right. He wasn't a dual-threat player out here. But his average yard per attempt is 10.4 yards. That is off of 23 passes for 240 yards. I don't think that's good. He had 2 dropped interceptions. Once was it wasn't a drop. The guy couldn't get his hands on it, but if you're playing with any starter, that would have been a pick.
Right.
The second one was a really good break on the ball and an underthrown ball at the 10-yard mark, and it was a dropped interception. So that is a very rough look that people are kind of overlooking. I don't think Bo Nix is ready to be that NFL starting caliber quarterback, especially after watching the preseason. I haven't caught Game 3 yet. I don't know if he's starting in Game 3.
He was not. I had it on earlier. He was on the bench. So
yeah, no, I didn't like it. I didn't like what I saw. I want my mind to be changed, but I didn't like what I saw out of the first 2 weeks from Bo Nix.
Yeah, that's fair. And full disclosure, I didn't have a chance to catch the games. I've just been so busy. I haven't had a chance to actually sit down and watch them. So I'm basically going off of highlights and just little tidbits that I've seen and things like that. But that is definitely a fair assessment. And again, it's going to be a whole different ballgame when he's going up against elite starters. So we'll see how that plays out week 1 when they face Seattle. And we are going to get into that as one of our top games of the week in a second. But before we do, I have one other conversation about one more I guess several other quarterbacks technically. But I want to talk about the quarterback conversation over in New England. This is also going to be our poll of the podcast. We're going to put a poll up on our Spotify. Go over there and follow us on Spotify, Free State Sports Podcast. There will be a poll, and you can participate and get some engagement going. And there's also one on our YouTube channel. Shout out to everybody that's been engaging with that as well. Poll of the podcast is, who is going to start in New England? Now, Andrew, you said that they plan to announce this as early as tomorrow at the time that we're recording this.
That is the rumor right now. The rumor mill is that it's going to be announced tomorrow. I think they're playing their last game tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So the rumor is it's going to be announced tomorrow. And currently, as it sits, the projected starting quarterback is Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, that's fair. He definitely has the experience.
He does. He is that veteran journeyman that you can just kind of plug him in and maybe squeak out a nice 5-6 win season.
Yeah, pretty much.
So as you said, we were able to pull our YouTube subscribers and some more out of 38 voters. We are sitting at Jacoby Brissett at 26%, Drake May at 42%, and Joe Milton III at 32%. Now, I did want to mention, and I hope this is okay with you, that when we do future polls and you leave comments on reasons why we were looking to input that into the episode.
Absolutely. The more engagement, the better, and we'll talk about all those thoughts on the podcast as well. So
yeah. So as it sits, it looks like the majority of fans, don't even know if they're Patriots fans, want Drake May to be the starting quarterback in New England.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I think you could definitely argue that Drake May has the better overall talent, arguably, of the whole group. Like we said, Jacoby Brissett does have that experience. I think, like I said, you could argue for Drake May, but from what I've seen, and again, I haven't had a chance to watch as much of the preseason as I would like, from the little tidbits I've seen, I've kind of become a fan of Joe Milton. He just looks capable of leading an offense and becoming a really good improviser in that role to me. He's able to move around and make something of nothing, kind of similar to a Caleb Williams. I tend to like those guys. They're just exciting to watch. They seem to have that dog in them, and I love that he plays with a chip on his shoulder. I just love the intensity he plays with. And I think he's capable of making some big plays over there. So I'd love to see him get a shot. But I think I don't know. I think logically, right, like if you're managing the Patriots, obviously you should want probably Jacoby Brissett to start at this point in time. Really, personally, my head tells me Drake May, but my heart tells me Joe Milton. So it's really a toss-up. It could go either way, honestly.
I went with Drake May, actually. I think currently as it sits, you have to go with the safe option. The person who has the highest floor and a decent amount of ceiling, right? I think Joe Milton has a high ceiling, a low floor. He's currently not better than Drake May, in my opinion.
That's fair.
He can develop into a better quarterback.
Yeah.
But I think Drake May has what you want out of a quarterback, and Joe Milton has what you want out of, like, a college quarterback. You know, somebody who is like not there to take charge of the offense, just there to push the ball down the field.
Right.
Drake May might be the guy who can actually take control of the offense. And also, let's get Joe Milton a new jersey number, dude. Number 19? Number 19 on a quarterback? No.
That is pretty wild to see. Honestly, it's almost as wild as seeing our linebacker Trenton Simpson wear 23.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah, no, but I respect all the decisions. I think it probably will be Jacoby Brissett moving forward.
Yeah, that's definitely the safe bet.
But Drake May would be my favorite pick, and yours would be Joe Milton, and I respect that as well because I think they're both amazing athletes.
Yeah, that'll be fun to follow. I'll definitely be tuning into that game tonight. It's actually on right now at the time of this podcast, so we'll be checking that out soon. But we'll talk about some of our top games of the week. Obviously, we just talked about Denver versus Seattle a minute ago. This one may not be on everybody's radar. The reason that this is interesting to me is because I had a conversation recently with my supervisor at the job I work at, who is a Seahawks fan, about the chance that the Broncos have to upset Seattle. And my argument was that they have a shot at upsetting Seattle, and I think it's going to be a lot closer than he thinks it is. But also, the Broncos are still the Broncos right now. I think they're one of the worst organizations in football at the moment. So while I think it could be close, I don't know if I had them winning that one, but I'm personally interested in that one just because it's one of those situations that we have with the new quarterback coming in. Obviously, a lot of unanswered questions about this quarterback class. So, Andrew, I got a question for you. Do you think that this is Sean Payton's last shot in Denver? Do you think if he has a terrible season, he's going to be out in Denver?
You know, it's a great question that I wish I had more time to prepare for.
That's what I do. I catch you off guard. That's how we roll.
Sean Payton is currently on has 4 years left remaining on his contract. It's going to be a lot of money to move off of him.
Yeah.
I want to say this is ride or die. He told the Broncos ride or die. Broncos country. Let's ride. Sean told them that he could make Russell Wilson play better. Sean said that he could turn the Broncos organization around. He said that he could probably get Lamar Jackson to come play for us. I don't know if that's true, but there was a lot of rumors that if he came back, he'd pursue Lamar when Lamar was up for trade talks and contract negotiations.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to say because I don't think Bill Belichick was a reason why New England was failing. I don't really think Sean Payton's a reason why Denver is failing. It's a top-down issue right now. And the top is that we want to win now, but we don't have the personnel to win now.
Right.
New England didn't want to move on from Mac Jones, so they moved on from Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
I don't know. Personally, I have the Seahawks winning this game, and I don't think it's going to be anywhere close to an upset.
My supervisor's going to love when he hears you say that, let me tell you.
And the reason why I think that is, again, the things I pointed out about Bo Nix from the last episode. The Seahawks have a pretty decent defense. They've always been a defensive-oriented team, even when they went to the Super Bowl with the Legion of Boom. It was really about the Legion of Boom, not about Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I have to kind of put it out there that I think that the Broncos aren't in a situation to win this. And I think Geno Smith right now is a better quarterback than Bo Nix.
Our supervisor's going to love that, too.
So I had the Seahawks winning by 14, 10-14 here.
I have it being a 3-point game, personally, so we'll see which way it goes, but that'll be interesting to follow. But we'll move over to, I think it's fair to say, you and me both of our favorite starting game this season. That is going to be the very first game of the 2024 regular season. That is Baltimore versus Kansas City in that playoff rematch.
I am currently representing the MVP of the AFC Conference Championship jersey, the refs, right now. Not even kidding.
He is. It's true. He's wearing a referee shirt right now.
And I'm excited for this game. I'm excited to go on the road to Arrowhead and prove that Baltimore is the best. Because the team we built is something of legend. You know, we have one of the fastest, if not the fastest quarterback in the league.
I would say one of the fastest offenses, honestly.
We have one of the strongest running backs. We have an extremely fast backup running back and shifty. We have a speedster wide receiver, a standout top 3 tight end, but they have Patrick Mahomes.
True. That's the problem.
They have Travis Kelce.
They also have Taylor Swift. Don't forget her.
Oh, my God.
If you do forget, they'll remind you. Don't worry.
They have Chris Jones, the defensive tackle. He's a really good player.
He is.
I would actually put him probably over Travis Kelce when I rate players. It would be like Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, Travis Kelce.
Yeah, Chris Jones actually, towards the end of last year, admitted that the Ravens were the toughest team they faced. So, shout out to Chris Jones for putting some respect on us.
I mean, I would think so too. That was such a low-scoring game. Everyone's like, oh, the Ravens only put up 10 points. Yeah, but the Chiefs put up 17.
Yeah, and I think they only put up 10 in the whole second half, I think.
I think they did.
Or 7, something like that.
I think they put up 7 in the second half.
Yeah, I know they were held at very low points in the whole second half.
But obviously, this is a game we've been waiting for, and it's going to be eyes on us.
Yeah.
It's going to be eyes on the Ravens, eyes on the Chiefs. Whoever comes out is going to be the Super Bowl favorite for the AFC.
Yeah, the Ravens are going to be looking to get their revenge, and it's sure to be a chippy game full of high energy and adrenaline. Going to be a good one for sure. Very, very excited for it. I remember last year they had that whole controversy with Travis Kelce throwing Justin Tucker's stuff out of the way. Man, let me tell you right now, I would love it if we just went in there and bullied the hell out of them. I would love it.
Dude, I don't even care if Lamar even throws the ball this game. Hand it off to Derrick Henry 110
times. Yeah, just give it
times.
Just run it right down their throats. The whole. Sorry, I'm starting to get a little biased. I really want to see our Ravens win, though. This sets the tone for the whole season.
Hey, man, you can't be biased. You're sitting next to someone wearing a Chiefs jersey. Again, I'm wearing a referee shirt. All right, let's go into the next team. Who do you got?
Yeah, for the next one, we went ahead and looked at the Packers and the Eagles. This is an interesting one. Jordan Love and his crew are going to take on the Eagles, and Eagles are obviously looking to bounce back from sort of falling off last year. And they, again, remain one of my top contenders to go to the Super Bowl. This will be an interesting one to follow for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I think this is, again, you picked the Eagles to go to the Super Bowl.
I did.
I picked the Packers to go to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
This is our NFC Championship game right here.
It is.
Whoever wins this is going to have bragging rights. And honestly, if we weren't broke, I would propose a jersey swap. You know, loser has to buy the winner's jersey. Whoever, you know, if I lose, I'd probably have to get a Quinyon Mitchell jersey.
Yeah.
And if you lose, Christian Watson jersey. I don't know. This is going to be a great game. I'm actually leaning towards the Packers to win this game, personally. You're probably favoring the Eagles, obviously.
You know, I actually don't think the Eagles are going to win the Week 1 game, despite me picking them as my Super Bowl contender. I think they're going to make the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to have an incredible record in getting there. But yeah, I actually had the Packers taking this one. I think they're better set up for success right now in this moment.
That's fair. They are.
But one we also have is Colts Texans. We're going to be seeing, like we talked about earlier, the former Rookie of the Year, C.J. Stroud, take on Anthony Richardson, who hasn't really had a chance to showcase his talent due to the injury he had last year. This will be a fun offensive battle to watch. Yep,
the battle of the 2023 rookie quarterback classes and an interdivisional matchup in Week 1. This is going to be a fun game. It's going to be about bragging rights. This could set the standard for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it definitely could. It's another tone setter. I probably have the Texans coming out and winning this one. I think they're going to be pretty dominant this year, to be honest with you.
I agree.
I think they're going to start out hot and take that win. But we also have Rams-Lions. This is an interesting one because obviously we've got Matt Stafford and Jared Goff again going up against each other. This time, after Jared Goff's massive extension this past offseason, which we talked a little bit about how sometimes quarterbacks tend to fall off, lose a step a little bit after they get the big money. Jared Goff kind of did that first time around after he went to the Super Bowl. So we're going to start to see if that contract is worth the money. So this one be an interesting battle. Always interesting when Goff and Stafford face off.
Absolutely. And I'm super excited for this game. I love both Matt Stafford and Jared Goff. They're a great underdog story. I'm glad that Stafford was able to win his Super Bowl with that big chip on his shoulders. But I also love Goff, even though I think he's going to fail this year. But I guess still got to put that respect on his name. This is going to be a standout rivalry, and if you don't feel like it's a rivalry, you should. You really should. And it always is when the Rams and Lions meet, ever since they traded quarterbacks.
Right. Yeah, this will be another fun one to watch. A lot of fun Week 1 games. I think I'd probably have the Rams taking this one. I think the Lions might lose a step a little bit this year. That's just kind of going out on a whim. This one's a toss-up. I hate to see either of them lose. Love them both.
Yeah.
Both have been very impressive teams lately. But I got the Rams squeezing out the win over there. Moving on to Jets 49ers. We're going to see Aaron Rodgers step onto the field for the first time since his torn Achilles. A lot of questions could be answered about whether he still has gas in the tank as they take on arguably a top 3 team in the NFL straight away in Game 1 of the 2024 season.
Yeah, this game is going to be absolute bonkers. I can't wait to see Aaron Rodgers come back after a year, after all of his bull crap that he's been spewing. Nearly getting Pat McAfee kicked off of ESPN multiple times. Just saying the most off-the-wall things and then skipping out on training camp for a while. But what if he comes on the field and dots up the dominant 49ers defense for a tune of 400 yards and 5 touchdowns?
It's very possible.
Yeah. It's Aaron Rodgers.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And it's not like he needs training camp. I mean, he's one of the greats. So professionalism has definitely been lacking for him. But he's still Aaron Rodgers, so I'm not going to count him out just yet.
Not to mention Brock Purdy looked a little shaky.
He did.
I did have one more topic to cover.
What's that?
And we can move this up into, I can edit it up if you wanted.
Okay.
It just hit me. Did you happen to catch Trey Lance's preseason performance?
You know, I actually meant to throw that in my notes, and I got to tell you, I didn't watch it, but I did hear about it.
The tune of 5 interceptions.
Yeah, he went 34 of 49 for 324 yards, 5 interceptions, 2 fumbles, 52.9 passer rating. I mean, where the hell did this come from? I don't think I've ever seen him play that bad. That's absurd. Those are crazy numbers.
I feel like we were talking off podcast before this even happened about how Trey Lance was really let down by the 49ers. I don't know if we covered that on podcast or off, but we were discussing he was never really given a chance.
Yeah.
And now I see why.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a preseason game too. I'm assuming he probably wasn't playing elite starters in that preseason game.
No, it's the Cowboys, dude.
Yeah. Cowboys doing Cowboy things. Yeah. Throw 5 picks in a preseason game.
I don't know why he stayed in the game either.
I don't either. They were just letting him
in the reverse cook.
Yeah. Letting him stay raw, I guess. Jesus.
Stop it, you're burning everything.
Awful performance over there. And I don't mean to poop all over him, but good Lord, what is he doing over there? I mean, you got to clean that up or you're not even going to remain a backup. That's
facts.
Crazy numbers.
Facts. All right, well, we are going to do game picks right now, and the way I kind of want to do it is you'll pick first, and then I'll pick. I'll kind of tilt my screen away because my picks are showing here.
All right, I won't look.
Yeah. All right, let's start off with a real hard one that we haven't even talked about yet. We've never talked about this game, Ravens-Chiefs.
Not once. Not a single time. Hasn't even been on my mind at all.
Yep. Who do you got?
I got the Ravens absolutely dominating the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're probably going to win. Safe to say, probably like 43-6 or something like that. I think Lamar will probably end up throwing 5 touchdowns. I think
Lamar usually gets hot in game 1 of the season.
He does.
Besides against the Raiders a couple years back.
He was pretty hot against Miami a couple years ago too before he blew that lead, but we're not going to talk about that.
That wasn't a game 1 though.
It was. Me and my mom went to that game. That was 2 years ago. I'm pretty sure
I think that was mid-season.
No, it was definitely early on because I took her for her birthday, and that's in August.
Well, then that's a preseason game.
No, I'm pretty sure it was week 1.
No, we blew a lead to the Raiders in week 1.
It's somewhere. Hold on.
Miami Dolphins was September 18th.
Oh, wait. Is that the one? Yeah, 42-38. Oh, it was week 2. It was a week 2 game because
Yeah.
the week 1 was away at the Jets.
Yeah, that was against Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
Yep, I went to Baltimore to watch that game and met Dennis Pitta and Todd Heap.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, that was dope. I also had the Ravens. I think it's going to be a 4-point game, kind of like a 24-20, maybe like a 28-24 type game.
Yeah, full disclosure in all seriousness, I'm just gassing my team up, but I do expect the Ravens to win. I think they got a lot more to prove than the Chiefs do. I think they got a fire lit under them, and I think they got the team to do it. I think there's a good chance it could end up being a 3-point game.
Here's another game I might catch: Patriots-Bengals.
That's an interesting one.
And by the way, I'm listing this off away team first, then home team.
Okay.
Yep.
So Patriots at Bengals.
Yes, sir.
I got to pick the Bengals there. I don't think the Patriots are going to be too good this year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of a landslide victory here.
Yeah, probably a pretty easy win for the Bengals.
Yeah. Jaguars at Dolphins.
Got the Dolphins winning that pretty easily again. I think the Dolphins have a very, very high-powered offense.
Yeah, I was never sold on Trevor Lawrence when he got that big contract.
Mm.
So I also have the Dolphins winning here, and it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, I agree.
Texans at the Colts.
I picked the Texans, like we talked about earlier. I think they're the better team right now, and I think they have the better chance to get that win.
Yep. Yeah, no, I was right there. The Las Vegas Raiders at the LA Chargers.
I got the Chargers winning that one. Jim Harbaugh's over there doing some cool things. I think he could end up having a standout season. I think the Chargers also are just the better overall team, so I got them winning that.
Yeah, I also had the Chargers in that game. That really wasn't a hard one to me either. Gardner Minshew's a starting quarterback, and while he is good, and he did beat the Ravens last year. Where am I going with this? No, I have nothing but respect for Gardner, but it's Justin Herbert.
True.
We got the Tennessee Titans at Chicago Bears.
I got the Bears winning that one. Titans have fallen off in recent years. I think they're going to be under a new coach this year.
New coach, new quarterback, new everything.
Yeah, they got a lot to figure out over there. I think it's going to take some time for them to figure it out. So, yeah, I got the Bears winning that one pretty easily.
Awesome. I also had the Bears winning this one. And they're going to take care of business. Caleb Williams is going to do Caleb Williams things. But then we have the Steelers-Falcons.
I got the Falcons winning that one, my number one team to watch. I think the Steelers will be decent this year. They'll be contenders like they always are. But I think the Falcons are going to start off hot. I think that'll be a very, very close one. But I do have the Falcons winning that game.
That's what's up. I also respect that. I think that... I don't know. We're either going to get a close one or Russell Wilson is going to cook to the tune of 3 interceptions.
Yeah, there's no in between.
Yeah. And it's going to be Jesse Bates, AJ Terrell, Cardinals, Bills.
I actually got the Bills winning that one. I did say off podcast I'm going on a whim. I think the Bills might take a step back this year. I don't think they're going to be as good as they have been. But I still think they win that Week 1 game.
Yeah, I also took the Bills over the Cardinals. I just think the Cardinals are the worst team in the NFL right now.
They're definitely down there. They are definitely down there.
I can't really think of many teams that are worse. Maybe the Panthers.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Maybe the Raiders. But I think the Raiders have some talent on the team. I don't think the Cardinals really have any talent anymore.
Yeah.
Broncos, Seahawks. We've talked about this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go... My heart really wants to say Broncos just because I know my supervisor is going to listen. But I'm actually going to go Seahawks. I still think the Seahawks are going to win. I do think it'll be closer than a lot of people think.
Give me the Seahawks by 10.
I got Seahawks by 3, personally.
Cowboys, Browns.
You know, I got the Cowboys winning that.
Yeah.
They did really good in the regular season last year. Won by a lot of points in a lot of different games. Obviously, they didn't play great teams. But I think they're fully capable of winning in the regular season. So I got them starting off hot with a win over there.
I actually have to agree with you there. I'm not... The Browns have a stellar defense. So do the Cowboys.
Yeah, yep.
I think it comes down to quarterback play and whether or not CeeDee Lamb plays.
True. That's big, too.
Yeah. Jets, Niners.
I got the Niners winning that one just because of their defense and how long it's been since Rodgers played. Still hasn't really built a whole lot of chemistry with that team. Obviously, there's practice and all that, but I think the 49ers are a better unit overall, especially defensively, and defense wins championships. So I got the 49ers winning that one.
I almost want to choose the Jets to upset the Niners here. I really do. I know that Brock Purdy had a shaky start in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
He did not look like Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fire away here at an upset alert and have the Jets actually beating the Niners.
I respect that.
With a maybe even an overtime game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one will be close, I think.
The Packers-Eagles. We talked about this.
Yeah, I got the Packers winning that one despite liking the Eagles in the long haul.
We have a tank bowl. A week 1 tank bowl. Panthers-Saints.
I got the Saints just because the Panthers were so abysmal last year.
Yep, I absolutely have to agree. Maybe Bryce Young revitalizes his career, but I don't think that he has a roster to succeed. I think the Saints at least still have Alvin Kamara.
Yeah. I'll say this. I don't think... I think that's probably going to be the worst week 1 game.
Oh, I mean, there's another one.
Oh,
There's another one.
All right. I'll wait.
Vikings-Giants. And the Vikings would have been interesting if it wasn't for J.J. McCarthy getting injured.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's true. I'm going to pick the Vikings just because I like that underdog story. And the Giants also are awful.
I actually took the Giants to win this game.
Did you?
Yeah.
I just can't bet against Justin Jefferson.
It's hard to bet against Justin Jefferson, but also, do you remember when Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts against the Patriots?
I do. Yeah. Actually, I do. Now that you mention it.
I'm not saying the Giants are the Patriots, but they did beat the Patriots twice in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, though, I don't think Daniel Jones is worse than Sam Darnold, personally.
That's fair. They're about equal.
Yeah. Commanders and the Buccaneers.
I think I got... That's a tough one, actually. I'm going to go Commanders just because I think Jayden Daniels is...
Him.
I don't know. It's a little early, but I do think he has a capability of making some big plays, and I think that's one game where he could do that. So
I'm sticking with Captain Underdog himself, Baker Mayfield, and the 49, the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
If I had cannons, I'd be shooting at your wall right now. Right? And then to wrap it up, I think this is, if it wasn't for the Ravens-Chiefs playing in Week 1, this would have been the game of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Rams-Lions.
Yeah, I got the Rams winning that one. I think the Lions, like I said earlier, might take a little bit of a step back this year. I think the Rams are going to remain consistent. I got the Rams just barely squeezing out a tight win in that game.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's hard for me to bet against Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, but that is such a phenomenal tandem.
It is, yep.
Who do you double cover? You don't?
Right.
And then who's their tight end? Tyler Higbee, I think?
I believe so.
Yeah. He's also a pretty good tight end.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say anything exceptional, but really the only exceptional tight ends are like Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, George Kittle, and I think George Kittle took a slight step back in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
That wraps up our Week 1 games.
Yeah.
And this is exciting. I think we should keep a running tally of how many we get right and wrong.
Absolutely.
And I really didn't try to force anything here. Like, I didn't try to force an upset. It's just how I was feeling when I made these picks.
That's fair.
I almost changed my mind about the Jets-Niners.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
You're right.
I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, that's fair. But if you don't have anything else to add, that's about all we got, Andrew.
I only have things to subtract.
Yeah, let us know in the comments what teams you have winning. Do you see any upsets in Week 1? What are you most excited about for the football season as it kicks off here in just a few days? Make sure you support the podcast. You can always do that by subscribing here on YouTube. Check us out on Spotify as well. It is at Free State Sports on Instagram. Follow us on all our stuff as we continue to expand. Again, shout out to everybody that's been subscribing and participating in the polls. Reminder, make sure you check out our poll of the podcast over on Spotify and on our YouTube channel. Get some engagement on those polls and in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions so we can discuss them in a future episode. This has been a fun one, Andrew. It's been a really good episode. I'm very, very excited for football. And the next time we tune in, I'm sure we'll have a whole lot to talk about as well.
A whole lot to talk about. Week 1 will be wrapped up. I mean, that's literally it. Week 1 will be done.
Yeah, we'll have...
No. It would still be Monday Night Football. to talk about.
No, because we do it every other Sunday.
Yep.
So,
and then this week is going to be...
Oh, yeah, there's the bye week. Yeah.
Yep.
You're right. I forgot about the bye. That's depressing. But yeah, we're all very excited for football. Leave a like if you're excited for football as we are. Again, make sure you check us out on all our social media, available on Spotify and YouTube. We thank you so much for tuning in and for the support. And we will catch you in the next one. Peace out.